Our topic was counterfeits and knockoffs in the fashion industry. Intellectual property laws have been in place in the U.S. since 1790, with the original Copyright Act that established a copyright for 14 years. This act did not include fashion design. Congress has considered offering sui generis law, which is legal protection for something unique, multiple times throughout history, but still did not enact legislation to protect the industry. In 1998, however, in part with the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, fashion design received legal protection, but it was limited to something called the Vessel Hull Design Protection. This Protection Act provides protection for original designs that make the vessel attractive or distinctive in appearance to purchasing or using in public. The issue of this act is what defines a design as original. A notable Supreme Court case that addressed this issue was Star Athletica vs. Varsity Brands. An issue of copyright took place, and it was up to the court to decide if Varsity Brands' cheerleading uniform was original enough to receive copyright protection. The court decided that specifically the aesthetic two-dimensional artwork was copyrightable. One thing they left out in their decision was what defines something as original, like the two-dimensional element. Determining what is original and what falls under protection leads to the issue of counterfeits and knockoffs. Each affects the market in a different way, being that counterfeits are illegal and knockoffs are not. Copyright in fashion design is defined by originality, but whether or not something should be considered a counterfeit or knockoff is a bigger issue of how it would affect the market.
Now we'll discuss how counterfeit goods affect the market. Counterfeit goods, unlike knockoffs, are illegal replications of a design and or trademark. They're usually marketed to look like the real thing, but not always. People who purchase counterfeit goods fall into two categories: those who willingly buy fake designer goods because of their low price, and those who are unwilling to purchase counterfeit goods but do so anyway because they are fooled by the trademark infringement. When the customer is unaware that the goods aren't authentic, there is a lack of information, causing the consumer to make a decision they would not have otherwise, acting rationally. This consequence of irrational buying leads to deadweight loss. An example of this is fake Supreme branded goods. The whole value of the Supreme brand is in its trademark, and because of the breadth of the products that they sell, it is difficult for a buyer to verify authenticity. Here's another example of a counterfeit good for sale. As you can see, it is difficult to assess the authenticity of the bag, as it has all of the trademark features of an authentic Chanel bag. There are other examples of similar bags priced well below the price of the real bag. Such an undercut in price provides a benefit to consumers. They can enjoy the benefit of good fashion for a lower price. However, this hurts both the original designer brand and the knockoff competitors because they cannot compete with the low prices of black market goods. Makers of counterfeit goods free ride off the labor of fashion designers and manufacturers who have put in work and money to come up with a design, as they get the benefit of the design without contribution to the cost of development. In violating the copyright and trademark, counterfeits make money that should have gone to the intellectual property holders by lowering prices because they do not have to factor in the cost of design when they set their prices. This is a form of rent-seeking, as in the eyes of the counterfeit manufacturer, this is an opportunity to transfer wealth to themselves, minimizing their individual costs while ignoring the overall costs to society.
So in contrast from counterfeit goods, knockoff goods are legal replications of high-end designer items that are sold to look similar to the original but are way cheaper. So for example, the Balenciaga sock shoes, which were really popular a few years ago, sold for $795, but a lot of brands replicated them in a similar black sock shoe style, which I show here, for a lot cheaper prices. So these are the Steve Madden sock shoes, which were only $90, and they look really similar to the Balenciagas. By allowing knockoff goods, it allows specific products that are being replicated to take up a larger share of the market, and this increases the popularity of the good because a lot of more people have access to it. So it's kind of like free advertising for the designer brand. This increases consumer surplus because they have the option of paying significantly less for a similar product than the price of the original. However, knockoff goods increase competition for brands, and they force producers to bring the price down, which minimizes producer surplus. And this also disincentivizes brands to innovate because they know they're going to have a lot of competition and they know the profit won't be as great. But this does help consumers because the prices are cheaper and competition usually leads to a higher quality good. So if knockoff goods were determined to be a violation of intellectual property rights, producer surplus would be maximized because brands would be operating as a monopoly and they would have complete control over what happens to that specific design. So they would be the only brand that could sell something like that, and they could price it at any price point they want, and people would only have one option when looking for the specific item. But this also really hurts consumers because prices would be higher. Since the establishment of intellectual property protections, brands have been encouraged to develop new and innovative designs. Counterfeit goods violate intellectual property laws because they discourage innovation by violating trademarks and impersonating brands, and this decreases the value of authentic designer goods. Knockoff goods, on the other hand, create competition and prices are kept low, which maximizes consumer surplus. Intellectual property laws should continue to protect knockoff designer items and keep counterfeit goods illegal because it's best for consumers.